Salutations! Welcome to Loving the Language of Literacy. My name is Sophia Lee, and so I'll be doing the Totally Should Have book tab recently created by Emma Books. When I saw that Emma Books had created this tag, I was like, oh my goodness, she's one of my favorite booktubers of all time. Of course, I'm going to support her and do the tag, plus the questions and the whole concept behind it is really cool. For me personally, this tag was a little bit harder than I thought it would be to come up with answers. In the year of 2015, I've read so many standalone novels and ones that aren't part of series, and actually just a lot of contemporary realistic fiction. So I had a harder time coming up with answers, so I've slightly altered them for a few, but besides that, love the tag. Emma Books is a wonderful, creative, amazing, gorgeous person, so let's get on to the tag. Question number 1. Totally should have gotten a sequel. The very first question I have to answer kind of contradicts what I usually am saying. My answer to the question is Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. For this particular book, what I would just love to see is a sequel to find out what happens after everything that took place in book 1. And obviously you're going like, okay, that's normally what a sequel is. Challenger Deep was such a unique, fantastic novel following a young boy who suffers from severe schizophrenia. It's this all-encompassing view of him as well as his family trying to cope with it. Most commonly with sort of mental illness, social issue books. The book that the author writes that comes after it never usually is as good, but I'm putting my faith in this imaginary totally should have situation that Neal Shusterman would do a good job. I want to see how Caden gets better. I want to see just his upward journey. I want to see him try to cope with normal everyday occurrences in people's lives in normal contemporary YA fiction, maybe with a little bit of romance even. I think it'd be such an interesting view to see someone who has recovered from, I don't mean recover, like you can get rid of it, I mean like recover as in function properly in regular society with a severe mental disorder, and I think it would just be a wonderful, heart-wrenching novel. Question number 2. Totally should have had a spin-off series. This kind of just alters the question too, but my answer is Gloria Bryan's History of the Future. If you don't know, this follows a girl who apparently drinks this juice of a bat. You just roll with it, and she can suddenly look into anyone's eyes and see what will happen to them, everything that takes place because of how they've impacted the world. And in terms of a spin-off, I would love to see a view and a whole scope of this post-apocalyptic world that she has been seeing in everyone's eyes. I think it'd just be a wonderful premise and something that only Gloria Bryan could do. Question number 3. An author who totally should write more books. The author herself is Amy Zhang. She wrote Falling Into Place. It didn't get as much hype as I wish it had, and I loved it so much. I appreciated it. It was a completely just full multi perspective of these different characters and their own views of this girl named Liz Emerson, who apparently was trying to commit suicide using the laws of physics and drove her car straight off the road. We find out from different timelines and points in the story about like 8 minutes before the car crash, 10 years before. It was a wonderful way to piece together all these pieces of a character and just their identity and what their real motive was and who they actually were. Okay, so the thing was, Amy Zhang had a book slated to come out this year, and it got pushed back to like March or April of next year, and I really want more Amy Zhang. This was her debut novel. I want to see her grow. I want to see her develop. I want to have a whole shelf of her books, and I want that to happen right now. Question number 4. A character who totally should have ended up with someone else. Thank God I haven't read that many books with love triangles this year, but this one book I read, I can't handle that love triangle. I can't. The Madman's Daughter trilogy by Megan Shepherd. Oh my goodness, let me just calm myself down right now. The main character is this girl named Juliet. She's an extremely intelligent girl in this gothic thriller, old England. She has fallen in love with her father's laboratory assistant. Yes, they totally were gonna be endgame. Yes, Megan Shepherd, she only could make her be with Montgomery, whatever, but there was this other option. His name's Edward. He's actually one of her father's experiments. He had such a lure as a character, this mystery, this whole other dimension to him that Montgomery certainly didn't have. As one of her father's creations, he had this side of him called the Beast that was really controlling and sadistical and was very dangerous to her. Once he got his act together, he'd have so much more depth. Just to be honest, Montgomery is a shallow character that did pretty much nothing for the story, and Edward is so much more of an interesting option. He's intriguing. I think that because of the intensity of his situation and his creation, he would care about her so much more. Question number 5. Totally should have ended differently. Question number 6. totally should have had a movie franchise. We've all been here, done that with my whole Legend craze. I'm a complete Legend fangirl. I have a whole group of friends that I've made because of Legend. We know how obsessed I am about this. I've gotten my friends obsessed. You're probably not watching, but she was sending me live text messages and pictures of the page she was on. And when she was reading Champion, the last book in the series, she forgot to flip to the next page to find the epilogue, so she was so upset at me because of it. Anyways, I'm getting entirely off track. I personally think it is so much better than Divergent. Would have had a much better shot with its characters and its plot and the complexity of it all. It's this full-scale dystopian novel set in futuristic Los Angeles. I'd just love to see Day and Andon in real life and on the big screen. Plus June, let's just face it, if I could wake up tomorrow in the kind of situation she was in, I would want to be exactly like her, just to be honest. I have a huge girl crush on June, and I love this series. We all know this by now. There are so many other YA series being made into huge franchises. Why can't this one? Please? Question number 7. Totally should have had a TV show. The next book I have here is actually, I think, pretty interesting for a choice, and that is My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. I think it would be, if done correctly, an absolutely stellar TV show. It was quite a long contemporary novel, around 400 pages. There was this whole scope to it where, with a ton of characters that all felt really important actually, following a poor little rich girl, and she's been growing up in her own perfectly manicured lawn with her senator mother and everything else, but she has always been watching the Garretts next door, and she's been trying to imagine what it'd be like to live with them. They're so much more lax than her own family, and I think that the events of the story could be handled very well, fleshed out in terms of a TV show, as well as there's actually a companion novel. I think it's called The Boy Most Likely To. In this kind of family, you could develop so many little subplots that weren't in the book, or just develop off of them, and I feel like there could be just a really good highlight in everything the book was, because again, and this is the mark of basically every good contemporary, it wasn't just a romance. I think it'd be a very good show if done correctly and not completely hallmarky, and I want to see it. Question number 8. Totally should have had just one point of view. This is actually my most recent read. I'll probably have a book talk up on it by now. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is the kind of novel where it was told in third person, but it jumped around to every single person involved in the story. And the timelines were crazy, and while I did appreciate that as a reader, I know it could have gotten confusing for others. It's not that I want to have one perspective only, because I really did appreciate getting to hear from everyone else. I would just like it to be in first person from a more omniscient, overlooking kind of perspective, so that it seems like it's in third person, but we get the view from this one overlooking driving force. Kind of in the same way that the book Thief was told by Death, and how everything was just told, but the own character got their time to explain things and add their own opinions in. Question number 9. Totally should have had a cover change. Then we have a book that I loved it so much, and I think the cover it has right now is decent, but because of what the story did for me, I think it could be just a really gorgeous novel if redone with a different cover, and that is Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. I can imagine it just this really thick hardcover, bound, maybe even gold or deckled edge, a really beautiful color pencil illustrations of just books, and the actual layout of the bookstore where it's like this really long, narrow, thin corridor almost with books on every single side and just all around. I think it'd be absolutely amazing. If anyone could make that happen, I'd really appreciate it. Question number 10. Totally should have kept the original covers. Then we have one where the original cover was stunning and was so fitting for the story, and they made the paperback cover, and the paperback cover, I'm sorry, is kind of just really gross. And that is The Impossible Knife of Memory by Laurie Halse Anderson. It was all done in the cooler toned blue family. There was this figure of a girl in the very corner, there was the jagged edge, supposedly a knife in the ice. I think it just encapsulated the story perfectly. Then we go to this random piece of blue blob, and everything is like this whole windswept look, you know, very dramatic. I think it tells nothing about the story. I think that if you're gonna have a cover that doesn't reveal much, you should have one that at least gives an air of mystery. And that, my friend, the paperback does not do that for me. Question number 11. Totally should have stopped at book 1. The last question we have here is one that I'm pretty sure everyone who does this tag will answer. And that is The Selection. We all frickin' know it. The Selection is a reality TV on crack. We thought we were done with the one. The whole trilogy could have been in one book. Then we have The Heir, and then the last book in the series of the duology spin-off, whatever. All you need to do is smush everything into one book. Oh my god, everyone has issues with the selection series, me included. I do like fangirling about it, I love ranting about it, I love rambling about it, I love giving it a lot of crap. I think you agree with me. Please say you agree with me. Tell me in the comments below what your answer to this question. I would love to hear them. If you've done the tag, link it below, and if you haven't been tagged, I tag you as well. Thank you so much for watching. Keep calm, read on, and I'll see you in a video soon. Goodbye. If you enjoyed watching this video, give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below. If you'd like to even more, hit the subscribe button. All my social media is around my face at SLSBooks, and my previous videos are below me. I'm acting just so desperate right now. This is pathetic, but I'm a fangirl, so whatever. Just please call me because fictional boys are so much better than real ones. Sorry, people that I may be talking about.